Hello guys, behind me is our new project. This time, it's not a G-Class, but it's going to be just as interesting, maybe even more so. Let me say right away, this is a real challenge for our company. Whether we can pull this project off or not remains to be seen, but I'm 99.9% sure that we'll do everything just the way our client wants. Well, maybe not exactly. Just kidding, of course. So let's take a look at this car, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do with it. This, guys, is a Buick Riviera, 1972 model. It's got a 7.5-liter engine, an automatic transmission, air conditioning, 4 power windows, and frameless doors. In short, it's an absolute masterpiece. American car manufacturing really is next level. Right now, this car is fully operational and running great. We've already driven it. If I were to sum up the emotions from driving this car after taking it for a short spin, our client has driven it too. It's a really cool car. You just want to keep driving and driving on it. But the engine dynamics, brakes, and handling become boring very quickly. That's because while all of that was top-notch back in 1972, today it's just an outdated car with a beautiful exterior. So our client decided not to restore the car to its original condition, but to take a slightly different approach. So on my Instagram, by the way, make sure to follow me there for the latest updates on our projects. You'll find news about what we've finished or what we've just started working on. You'll always get the earliest updates there, as well as on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I always leave the links in the description. I posted this car on Instagram and wrote that it's supposed to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.5 seconds, and from 100 to 200 kilometers per hour in about 4.5 seconds. Guys, 100 to 200 in that time, those are insane numbers. Some people wrote that it's impossible. Others suggested swapping the engine, adding turbos, compressor, axles, gearbox, and so on. They even suggested the best possible setups for it. But together with our client, we decided to take a different approach. To make it happen, we bought a donor car. Let's take a look at it too. And here we have, guys, a 2022 Tesla Plaid, which comes stock with over 1,000 horsepower. The acceleration of this car has already been tested. 2.5 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and 4.2, 4.3, or even 4.5 seconds, 4 seconds flat from 100 to 200 kilometers per hour. It's just madness. I was once given a ride in a car like this, and I said, this is insanely fast, like unbelievably fast. Wow, this is insane. Here's what we got. 100 to 200 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds, and 0 to 100, 2.55 seconds. That's just crazy. And so our client made the decision to buy a Tesla Plaid in the US, one that had been slightly damaged, a minor front-end hit, and a bit of damage to the rear. Car already registered it and put it on record. We brought it in, marked the VIN numbers in the necessary places for our needs, since the car will be heavily modified. You understand that we plan to install Buick Riviera parts, body parts, onto this car. So, visually it will no longer look like a Tesla, it will look like a Buick Riviera. However, the internals will remain entirely Tesla. The client also wants to keep the Tesla interior. Overall, we'll end up with an amazing car, a retro-style look from 1972, beautiful and elegant, wouldn't you agree? Add some stunning wheels, and inside it'll have a modern, incredibly fast setup. So I've shown you the Tesla Plaid from all sides and gave you a look at the interior. If everything goes as planned, and we'll find out later whether it will, we aim to keep the entire Tesla interior intact, along with all the modern features, cameras, and so on. It might even be possible to retain all the airbags that Tesla comes with. We'll see how it works out as we proceed with the project. As for our Buick, the interior is actually in decent condition and could have been kept, but the client doesn't want that. Honestly, when you open the door, there's this distinct old car smell, very vintage. All of it will be up for sale. The suspension, engine, transmission, and the entire interior. So if anyone's interested, our client is ready to sell it for a very reasonable price. However, the exterior parts are not for sale. Don't even ask, because we'll need absolutely all of them. Everything in this car is fully operational, though not perfectly. There are a few quirks, but everything still turns on. Even the air conditioner works. You turn it on, and while the belt slips a bit, but the compressor still spinning. Now I want to start it up. After all, it's a V8 with a 7.5-liter engine. The sound is pretty awesome. American, thoroughbred, cool and powerful sound. Let's do it. And how does it drive? Guys, it's just a masterpiece. Incredibly smooth, really soft. The power steering is like on all classic American cars. You can turn it with your pinky. I mean the steering wheel, of course. The automatic transmission works flawlessly, too. I think it's a 3-speed, though I'm not entirely sure. It needs to be checked. The radio works. The climate control works as well. This car is an absolute gem. The only thing is, I can't quite figure out how you're supposed to drive it with just one mirror. There's no mirror on this side, so when you're reversing, it's a bit of a guessing game. The right mirror? Forget it, that's practically useless. And the missing left mirror, well, it probably fell off at some point. When you put the transmission into drive, there are no jerks, nothing like that. The V8 is so smooth, it feels like you're riding on a cushion. The steering wheel is a bit wobbly, but for 1972, it was probably considered top-notch. Today, though, it's not that impressive. Still, it's an incredibly smooth ride. Turning the steering wheel takes about 2.5 full rotations in one direction. It's a lot like on a Volga. Except the Volga doesn't have power steering, at least not on the 24 or 21 models. This is the mirror adjustment, but it's mechanical, using some kind of cable. See, it moves. There's a button labeled wash, which I think is for the wipers. Look, they work. Push the lever down and the wipers lay flat. I believe this controls the headlights. The climate control works too. Switching to air conditioning, the belt slips, but the point is, you can see it all works. Now for the cruise control. Pressing here doesn't seem to light anything up, but the system is there. I'm not sure how to use it. The turn signals work. See? And there's the servo steering. As for the music system, we have the horn here. And there's a clock. I'm not sure if it works. Let's test the music, see? You can even adjust the tone, more bass or higher frequencies. This is how the interior looks, guys. You can see that everything works. Also, under the steering wheel, there's a small lever. I'm not sure what it's for, so let me know in the comments if you do. And here's the ignition switch. 2 indicator lights come on, oil and gen, which I assume is for the generator. We're rolling onto the operating table, guys, for another super project. A world-class one, I dare say. This beauty centenarian is already in the box. 1972 year, a 7.5-liter engine. To start, guys, the first step will be disassembling the interior. Our oldie, the work is progressing. We have already removed the bumpers. And we're slowly disassembling under the hood. Just so you understand, the bumpers are like heavy-duty ones, similar to those made for off-road vehicles. And notice that it's absolutely not rusty. They've stuck something here. I've already tested it with a screwdriver, so the bottom is in excellent condition. It's from 1972, guys. This orange stuff is glue, not rust. So guys, we've lifted the body. The frame is completely intact. The engine, no major leaks. The gearbox, I've driven this car. Everything works perfectly. So for anyone who needs it, The entire underside will be for sale. Wheels, axles, engine, tank, we don't need any of it. So contact us, guys. The body's in excellent condition. Yes, there are some issues, but it's almost 100 years old. Just kidding, but still, I can definitely say it's solid. Guys, I want to show you something. You know there's a type of painter who thinks, well, you can't see it there, so they only putty the visible parts. Here it seems like it's not visible, you see. Chunks of putty. I've encountered this many times and always argue with such painters. These painters are a different kind of people. I'll show you from the other side now. I really don't like it. Really. So they just slapped on the last bit of putty, and there's some kind of arch here. Yeah, why clean it up? You can't see it there. Our Tesla Plaid is already in the box, and we're about to start disassembling it. Let me remind you that all body parts will be for sale. If you need anything, just let us know. First, we'll charge the battery before disconnecting it, so it doesn't die while we're working on the car. Well, guys, it's the end of the line for the Tesla. This is what the Tesla Plaid looks like, guys. 1,000 horsepower, completely stripped down. And this is not the finish yet. The side skirts will be partially cut next. It's entirely made of aluminum, with only the pillars partially made of metal, which we cut off. They were glued and bolted on. We're fighting to the end, and I really hope we can pull it off. We won't be calling the client to say, take your car back. We can't do it. Over here, we've got a Buick, fully disassembled. We're now marking it up to cut the internal parts, like the floor and the rear wall. We're moving forward, not a step back, as they say. We really hope we don't ruin two cars. Just kidding, of course. There's a saying, if you take the ball, hit it. And here's how our project looks today, guys. Tesla or Buick Riviera. I'm not even sure what to call it anymore. Let's decide together and give this project a name. Something like Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, or something similar. Because wolf in sheep's clothing is exactly what fits it. It looks like an old car at the traffic light, big and beautiful, but it rockets off the line. 2.5 seconds to 100 kilometers per hour. Not many cars in Ukraine. Probably 99% of them can't beat that. Share your comments with name suggestions. So what issues do we have? The client has already visited us, and we discussed how to move forward because there are a lot of mismatches. For example, the wheelbase. Tesla's is, of course, shorter here. We'll have to adjust something, and we've already talked this over with the client. In the next episode, you'll see exactly what we'll be cutting, shifting, or extending. The next point is the sills. Tesla's sills are much wider than Buick's, which is obviously not ideal. But here you can already see the heavily modified sills. We didn't compromise their strength, so there's nothing to worry about in that regard. And finally, another very important point, Tesla's body is entirely aluminum. The only exception was the central pillar, which was metal, bolted in place, and bonded with a special body adhesive. So the Tesla's body is completely aluminum, while the Buick's is entirely metal. Joining these two bodies together is an incredibly complex task, but it's something we know how to do. It will be solid and reliable. As our client said, it won't end up with one body separating from the other if you suddenly hit the brakes hard, and of course that won't happen. Let's move on. Now the bad news, the rear strut towers on the Tesla, where the shocks are mounted, are very tall. Unlike most cars, they actually stick out above the rear window, which is a big problem. But of course, we'll figure it all out. Basically, as you've probably realized, nothing fits anywhere, and nothing aligns. You might even ask, why did you even take this on? Shouldn't you have used computer programs to line it all up and check? I can assure you that anything can be done. It's just a matter of how much effort it takes, whether it's more work or less. Even if you saw in a computer simulation that it doesn't line up, it wouldn't really change much. It would just show you where the problems are. But our client has this idea and came to us to turn his dream into reality. And that's exactly what we're doing. Let me add a bit more information about our project. Externally, it won't just be a regular Buick. It will have wide-body modifications. The fenders will be extended, and it'll have massive 22-inch wheels with an amazing design and a wide polished lip. The rear wheels will be 12 inches wide with beautifully polished chrome lips, and we're planning to put 335 or even 345 tires in the back. So as you can see, the project is shaping up to be really impressive. The color, of course, won't be white. I'll show you some photos now. This is the look the client has envisioned for the car. Yes, there might be some changes, but for now it seems like everything is already agreed upon. Take a look at the photos and then let us know in the comments. Do you think it'll look great or not? And I already know what some of you are going to write to me. Why did you even buy that Tesla, that junk car, or something similar? I've heard it all before. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. A lot of people don't like Teslas, but there are just as many who love them for various reasons. For this project, well, to each their own. Some people love quiet, economical electric cars, while others prefer a roaring V8. Personally, in my opinion, I'm definitely Team V8. The exhaust sound, the emotions, it's just something else. Ideally, you'd put a Dodge Challenger Hellcat V8 engine with 700 plus horsepower into this Buick Riviera. With just a few $1,000s of tuning, you could push it to over 1,000 horsepower. Sure, putting all that power on a rear-wheel drive might be a bit sketchy, but the sound would be absolutely incredible. That said, this project has modern perks, advanced technologies, cameras, and who knows what else. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with electric cars like Teslas, since they're not really my thing. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this is a good idea, or would you have done something differently? Alright guys, that's it for this video. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. There's a lot more technical info there about how things are done, strengthened, and so on. See you next time. Instagram and TikTok links will be right here.